Stay tuned to meet the team behind the scenes on Dare to Dream, also known as the Dare to Dream Dream Team. My name is Yvonne Lewis Shelton.
And I'm Jason Bradley, and you're watching Urban Report.
Hello and welcome to Urban Report. Our guests today are no strangers to Dare to Dream or 3ABN, although you may have never seen them before. They are the behind the camera team who make the programs come together. Our D2D Dare to Dream Dream Team, Matthew, Andrew, and Ricky Carter. Yay!
Thank you.
We are so glad you're, and of course, Jason
I was wondering when
oh,
you were
I couldn't forget you, Jay. I couldn't forget you. People don't really realize what goes into these programs that we do. People just turn on the television or watch on their iPad or on their iPhones, and they have no idea who's behind the programs, what goes into producing these programs. And so we brought that to you today because we really want you to know these wonderful people that have contributed so much to our ministry. And so Ricky Carter does our graphics and animation and all the opens, 99% of the opens that you see on Dare to Dream. Ricky Carter does, and we're going to show you some of his work later. And then Matthew Andrew is our editor, and he, when things are a little out of sync or he has to put the names at the bottom of the screen and just all that stuff, things that you just kind of take for granted because you just don't know what goes into it. So we want to first of all say thank you publicly to both of you, because what you do is you're our unsung heroes. You're never in front of the camera. All your work is behind the camera. But God has gifted both of you with such wonderful gifts. So we just want to acknowledge what you do and say thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you guys do it with such a positive attitude. I mean, we can call you about anything, anytime we need something. Sometimes it's last minute. I know I've reached out to you, Ricky, plenty of times when there's been some type of change or something that was last minute. You could be in the car driving, you're like, okay, hold on, let me make a U-turn, my laptop's at the house, I'll send it to you, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And I mean, you really go above and beyond. And Matthew, you as well, I mean, I can call upstairs to you or go upstairs and to your office, and no matter what it is that I need, you find a way to make it happen, and you do so with such a cheerful heart, and I definitely appreciate both of you guys. And this is a little bit different for us today because, we've switched, well, we didn't switch roles.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that clear.
I'm the Dare to Dream general manager.
He's the general manager.
And you are the Dare to Dream founder/consultant.
Right.
So it's a little bit different now because previously she was the general manager.
Yes, and I want to say, in acknowledgement of you, Jay, that I'm just so, as a mom and as your boss, I'm so proud of where God has brought you. You have grown so much in the short time that you've been here, but you've been here 4 years, right?
Almost 5.
Almost 5 years, and to see where God has brought you is just, it's amazing. And so I want to say to you, thank you so much for all that you do. You have no idea all the stuff, all the hats that Jason wears as well. And it's a blessing because we can just see that God is moving through each of all of us. And he has chosen us to do this work. It's really humbling to think that God has chosen us to do this work. But I want to say congratulations to you
thank you
as the GM.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And you I'm going to talk about you for a second. You did an excellent job with, I'm not stepping into a situation, you know, oftentimes you'll see a politician or something, they always complain about their predecessor. I've got no complaints. You know, my mom / boss did a great job and left Dare to Dream in a position where I'm stepping into a seat or sitting down in a seat that is geared up and ready for success. All I have to do is continue to submit to the Lord and run it as He guides me. So you've done an exceptional job. You were here when there was no Dare to Dream, and you had these programs and these concepts, and you met people, and God placed people in your path, and you did.
He did.
You've done and continue to do an exceptional job with Dare to Dream, and I'm so happy that I can still pick your brain. I
what little there is left.
I told you that when you turn like 90 years old, I'm going to pick you up for work. And you better be ready. Don't make me late. Don't make me late. Comb those 3 strands of hair and let's go.
You know what? That's too funny.
And also, I want to acknowledge, because, you know, people at home are seeing us here, but there's so many other people that have a role with Dare to Dream. We have Brad that's directing this program as we speak.
Yes.
We have all of the people that are on camera right now. We have the video graphics people. I mean,
our floor director, Katie.
Yeah, floor director, Kate. And Bree and all of these people.
Justin.
Yep, Justin Lee.
Terrence.
And Terrence.
Marshall.
Too many people to name.
Yeah, because I'm going to forget somebody and someone will be mad.
Yes. So, I mean, there's such a huge administration and everybody who has supported, and you are a part of the Dare to Dream team.
Absolutely.
You make it possible for these programs to take place. You know, without your support, we couldn't do it without you. And so we are appreciative of you and what you do for this ministry, and how you share it with your friends, your financial support as well. I could go on forever and ever. Let's continue with let's get back to it.
Well, we know, you know, the one thing that we know is that God has chosen all of us to do this work. He has a work for everyone to do. And so this is what we do. And I want our viewers to hear your journeys, because Matthew, let's start with you, because Matthew, you have a very interesting testimony. It's very interesting that God would have you working with Dare to Dream particularly.
Yes.
Why is that?
This has been a real journey for me, and I'm about to explain something that I've probably told maybe 8 people in the world. I've never, others outside of a few of you know this testimony. As a young man, I grew up in a good family, had a good upbringing. It was a Christian family, and they taught us to love people and be respectful. And I went to high school age, and in the city where I went, there was people of all races, nationalities, and it was a mix like most of America. And I didn't really hate anyone, got along with everybody, and really had a great time. Later on in my life, I became a paramedic, and I became on the fire department. And being out, getting sent to the worst situations where you meet the worst people in their worst times, with their worst attitudes, and see the results of shootings, stabbings, and of course at the time when I was younger, in the 70s, let's start there. I'll fudge. Let's start there.
Let's start there.
It was a time when there was still racial tension, and there was a lot of it, and the stuff that was portrayed on TV. If you're just growing up, that's what you thought the world was like. You saw in the news the Black Panthers and these things that were a little more in the news, but they didn't. I thought that's what all people were like that. I thought, because that's the picture I saw, and I had having nothing else to think about. That's what I thought. I got to the point where I hated black people. I really did. Hate. And as I made these runs and saw black on black crime, black on white crime, yes, there was white on white crime. Sure, there's all that stuff out in the real world, but I don't know where that came from. I really don't, because it's not what I learned as a child. But somewhere I migrated into that. Satan will take you, if you take your eyes off him, to a place you don't want to go.
Yes.
You just don't want to go. He will twist your view of the world, of people. And I got to the point where I just hated people of color. And that's hard to admit. That's hard to say out loud.
Especially surrounded by black people right now.
It's not hard for me today. It is more hard for me to say it for me than it is for you or our viewers. Because I don't know where that came from. And that stayed with me for many years. But then I started being led to the Lord leading me back. And I won't go through that whole journey. That's a whole other story. But slowly but surely, he led me back to a picture of, look at Jesus, look at Jesus. This is the picture of what heaven will be like and what people in heaven will be like. And so eventually I came to the point where I got beyond the hatred. And it wasn't something that happened like a road to Damascus experience. It was one of those over time, imperceptible, where I woke up one day and said, you know, I don't hate people anymore.
Was it a situation where you didn't know any black people personally? Because I find that, you know, a lot of times when there's this misperception on either side, you know, black against white or white against black, it's because you don't know anybody from a different culture. You don't know them except superficially. Hi, how you doing? But they're not coming to your house, they're not hanging out with you, so you don't really know them. Was it a situation where you got to know someone of color and that's how your misperceptions dropped, or was it just the Lord just led you out?
That's a good question. And as I think about that, as I think back on that, when I was in high school, I had black friends. I didn't think of them as black folks or white things. They were my friends. And so I don't know where that came from. And it's shocking for me to look back and say that the devil can take you on that journey.
Absolutely.
And you have to watch, you know, guard your heart and guard your eyes on what you see, and don't let perceptions of the world tell you what you ought to think and how you ought to be. And so somehow I got past all that and became a Christian. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian now, and we some years ago, Phyllis and I came to 3ABN, and we just, as many people who come here to begin their journey working for the Lord, they put you someplace, but you get migrated and shifted around until you find your niche. You know?
Right.
Many of us have done many different jobs since we've been here. I started out in marketing, have done many other things, but I don't want to get too far off the course here. The thing is that one day I was in the pastoral department working on the prayer line, and our former general manager, Molly Steenson, said, you know, we'd like to talk to you. So I went down and she said, we think you have the makings to be an editor. And I thought, this woman needs psychiatric help. There is no way in the world. She's obviously not hearing from the Lord, but she was. And but I loved working with computers. I just love it. It just fascinated me. And they're going to let me work on a Mac computer. I said, well, now I have to do something. So I said, okay, and I got into that, and that was very interesting. And they just said, learn editing. That's all I knew about it. I said, okay, so some of the people started teaching me, and then I realized one day they said, and you're going to do the editing for the D2D Dream Network. Okay.
That's great.
I can do that, you know, but this has been a journey for me, because as I've been editing these programs, I've been seeing fantastic people of color.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Who are doctors and lawyers and brilliant people and business people and educators who are out there making incredible contributions to their communities that are turning and encouraging young people. I've seen black young people come on, and I've seen, look at these wonderful things young people are doing. And I realize there's a part of the journey that's deceptive. It's not enough to say I hate and now I don't. Because if we're going to be in heaven, Jesus says you must love one another. Now that's a different ball game.
Right.
So you have to get past hate to not hating But that's the beginning, because now I have to learn to love.
That's right.
I have to learn to love. I've got to go all the way. Just getting to I don't hate is just neutral. You got to go the whole distance, go
Right.
the distance.
Right.
Where have I heard that before? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just started watching this, and I was so fascinated, and I found out, yes, you're going to be on Dare to Dream, and Yvonne Lewis is going to be your boss. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. Because the Lord tests us. He tests us. Do you really love me? Do you, you say you don't hate, but are you willing to build relationships?
Right. Right.
Can you build relationships? So I said, I can do this. And then after just sitting down, it wasn't long talking to her, I said, oh yeah, I'm in a good place.
Praise the Lord.
And so now I went from hating black people to being on the urban network.
Right. God has a sense of humor. doesn't he? I really think he does.
And he gave me a black female boss. And I was having some health challenges, and I said, okay, Lord, I'm really feel like I'm making progress, but I need another doctor. My doctor made a recommendation, see this neurologist I want to set you up with. So I went to the neurologist. I'd never seen her, didn't know her. I see her name is, it's a female, Tiffany. Okay, and I won't go any further than that because we're not doing that. But anyway, I went to her and found out that as I walked in, God has a sense of humor. She was a young female black doctor. And I said, I got the picture. Yeah. And I love her. And I love you folks, and you're all my family. And so it's not enough. That's my journey. My testimony is it's not enough to not hate. You have to love.
Amen. Amen.
That is a powerful testimony. And I like you, I believe that God does have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And that story proves it. Ricky, we want to talk about you as well and go into your journey. But before we do, we actually have a roll compiled of your work and Matthew's work. You put together the opening graphics and you edit the program. So I want to take a look at that.
All right.
And so we have this double emphasis on Christ being caught up to God and to his throne, which is what happens as he's resurrected and begins his mediation, his intercessory work there. Each one of these epochs, then, each one of the churches, seals, trumpets, and salvation signs begins in the apostolic age, begins at this holy place simultaneous ministry, and shows us that the churches, seals, and trumpets are all cycles of 7 that parallel, that run down together at the same time, happen simultaneously.
So we couldn't say that the 7 churches occur here, but then the 7 seals occur after the 7 churches. Or the 7 trumpets occur after this. No, they unfold simultaneously.
You know, when you're working the dream, the struggle is oh so real. You have to be determined. You have to work hard. You need to be compassionate. Set goals and return them. Stay focused and reach high. You need all this and the Lord to come together to make you a better person while you're working the dream.
But man, you watch TV, man? Them pastors be making some big dollar bills, y'all. Selling snake oil, prayer claws, splinters from the tree of life and all that stuff. So if I can't make it in the real world, I'm gonna make some money as a pastor. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
But don't you worry about it.
What makes you think you're a good fit for this particular position?
Man, I got the experience, I got the education, plus I bring some swagger. You know, nobody in this company so far that I've seen got swagger, and this company needs some swagger. That's what G-Stack bring to the table.
You have swagger.
to get this mess cleaned up.
You sure did tell her, Mom. She never does anything you tell her to do.
I already cleaned up this room.
Who are you talking to like that? I said get this mess cleaned up.
First of all, I'm gonna need you to get out of my face and stay out of my face. And I already cleaned this room up yesterday.
Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. You have me confused with somebody else. Who do you think you're talking to? If you don't get this mess cleaned up, we're gonna be planning a funeral in here today.
And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, yes, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear, yes, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24 says this, Isaiah 65:24. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, yes, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear, yes, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24 says this, Isaiah 65:24.
That is such a powerful demonstration of the gifts that God has given to both of you. And we're just, again, we just thank you. We thank you so much for bringing them here to Dare to Dream and 3ABN. Ricky, tell us about your journey. How did you get to Dare to Dream, too?
You know, I worked for Country Music Television for a good little while. And after working, well, while working with them near the end of my time there, the Lord was impressing on me, how can you promote 40 Greatest Drinking Songs? How can you promote Cowardy Ugly with women that are half dressed? How could you do that and still represent me? And that really worked on my heart. And I said, Lord, if you can get me out of here, then I will serve you. I will dedicate the talents that you've given me, I'll dedicate it to you. And the Lord made a way so I could work for myself. I worked for myself for a few years, went to Michigan, worked for one of my clients there, then went back to working for myself, where most of my clients, I'd say 98% of my clients are not just Christian clients now, but they're all Adventist clients. And so then I remember when Dare to Dream was starting, and I was like, boy, I would love to work for that channel. And I just called and asked for you, but you weren't there, so I left a message. Dr. Lewis, this is Ricky Carter. I'm a designer animator. Would you be interested in having any volunteer graphic work done for any of your programs? He called me back a few days later, and we talked. Things worked well, and gave me the first project. And I remember that first project. It was Take It to the Bank. And that was a fun project to work on. And with that project, not only doing the graphics for it and designing the logo, but being able to come up with the music and then doing the voiceover. That was a fun thing to do. But the Lord just opened up a way for me to use my talents to work for Him. It reminds me of, there's an artist in the Bible, I think his name is Aholiab, and he was one of those artists that worked on designing all the artwork in the temple. And so I was like, man, if he could do that, I know I could do something for the Lord as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. You know, when you called me about volunteering, I thought, wow, that's such a great thing. That was such a great way to get your foot in the door, because he wasn't asking for anything. He was volunteering his time and his talent. And then when I saw how talented you were, it was like, oh, wow, no, can you do this? Can you do that? And then you actually helped to give Dare to Dream its identity as far as, you know, like the logo and the Sabbath, the Happy Sabbath, you know, that whole animation thing. So again, that's, God brought the two of you to us. What would you say to those who have talent like you, who might want to, both of you, who might want to do something for the Lord, but they're hesitant? What would you say? We have about 30 seconds, both of you, to say it.
Go first.
The simple answer is don't hesitate. If you feel God leading you by the power of the Holy Spirit, don't stop. Go forward. He will never lead you in a place where He's not willing to supply every need.
Amen. Amen.
I would say, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct thy paths.
Yes, amen. That is the key, to trust in God and to know that He is going to have you. He's going to take you. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. He's going to take you to where you need to go if you just trust in Him. Do you have any closing thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I just think it's amazing and interesting that even while you were volunteering, you put forth your best work.
Right.
You know, you always give your best, never anything less, no matter what. I don't care if you're sweeping the floor, I don't care whatever is going on, you always give your best. And I believe that with both of you, you guys always put forth your best work. And I definitely appreciate that.
They do. And we want you to know that, again, we always say this, that God has a plan for your life. And if you look at what, you know, where God brought Matthew from, you know, a place of animosity toward minorities, and now he's working with the Minority Network. I mean, it really is funny. and loving it, because God is love, and you have sought God, and God's Spirit is working through you. And then Ricky came on as a volunteer, and then began to do all of our work, basically, and work for the Parent Network as well. So we just want to, again, thank you and acknowledge you. Thank you, Jay, for all that you're doing. And again, I'm just so proud and thankful for the work that you're doing, and expect great things coming from Jay as a general manager, because he's got some great ideas as to what he wants to do and where he wants to take the network by the grace of God. Thank you for being with us. Join us next time, because you know what? It just wouldn't be the same without you.